We are now going to take a look at the preparation of a trial balance. So you'll see on the page here in front of you, the trial balance, we have a series of T accounts that have already been foot and balanced for you, and our task is to prepare a trial balance from this information. Okay, so to prepare a trial balance, we take the balance of all these accounts and we list them in a certain order. Okay, so if I scroll down here, it says we have the title, trial balance, and the date. Okay, so the thing about a trial balance is there is a certain order that the items have to be prepared in. So assets are listed first, all of our liabilities are listed second, then our capital, drawing, revenues, expenses, and then we total up at the bottom. Because the purpose of a trial balance is basically to make sure that the total debits equal the total credits. So the other thing you'll notice is you have a debit column here and a credit column here. So we also have to keep in mind the normal balance of different accounts. So before we start on this, I also want to show you the ebook function. So many of you probably have a hardback book, but you can also utilize the ebook function to help you look at page numbers, and it brings you exactly to the point in the book that you need to be looking at to help you complete the assignments. So this is going to pull up an example of a trial balance, and it should be the same example that you have in your textbook. So I just wanted to kind of show this to you. This is an example of a trial balance, and you'll notice it has for July 31st only. So these are the balance in all these accounts on July 31st. All of our assets are listed first, and assets need to be listed in the order of liquidity, which is how easy they're turned into cash. So cash is already cash, so it's the most liquid asset. Then you're always going to have accounts receivable, office supplies, prepaid items, and your office equipment are always going to be last in this section. Then we have our liability accounts, our accounts payable, our unearned design revenue, which is also a liability account that we learned a little bit earlier, capital, drawing, revenue, and expenses. So that is the order that they must be prepared in when completing the assignments. So I just kind of wanted to show you that function. And then also you'll notice, oh, do I put them in this column or this column? Well, these are debit column and credit column. So it goes on their normal balance side. So assets have a normal debit balance, liabilities have a normal credit balance, as is capital, drawing debit, revenue credit, and expenses debit. And then the whole purpose is to make sure that your debits equal your credits in order to make sure that you haven't had any mistakes during the recording process. So let's go ahead and go in and complete our trial balance. So we'll be scrolling back and forth a lot. So the first thing we need to do is to record our assets. So we have cash with the $5,900 balance. So I'm going to put cash, and it has a debit balance because it has a normal debit balance. So I have cash. Then I'm going to have accounts receivable. Accounts receivable has a debit right here. You can see 500. So also a way to look at it is whatever their balance is here is going to be their balance in the trial balance. So then after accounts receivable, I have supplies. Supplies has a $600 balance. After supplies, I have office equipment. Office equipment has a $5,000 balance. Okay, and it looks like that's all of my assets. Now I move on to liabilities. My accounts payable is my first liability. So I'll choose accounts payable, and it has a $600 credit balance. Okay. After accounts payable, if I scroll up here, I'll find my unearned programming service. So remember, that's also a liability. I owe a service, and it's $1,200. So unearned programming service. Liabilities have a normal credit balance. I'm going to list that on the credit side. Okay. So assets, liabilities, and after liabilities, I'm going to have my capital account. Scroll back up here. My capital is $10,000. Capital has a normal credit balance, so I'll put my $10,000 there. Then after capital, I will have my programming service revenue. So if I scroll back up here, programming service revenue, $1,500. And revenue has a normal credit balance. We put our $1,500 there. And then the last account that we have are our expenses. We just have one expense here, rent expense, in the amount of $1,300. So I'll put in rent expense has a debit balance of $1,300. Okay, so then the next step is to add up total debits and then to add up total credits to make sure that everything balances. So another function that this has is it has a calculator. So if you go up here to Tools and click on Basic Calculator, it's going to pull up the calculator that we need for down here. Okay, so let me pull that calculator back up. So I can add up my total credits, 600 plus 1,200 plus 10,000 plus 1,500 and hit equal something. Let's try that again. 600 plus 1,200 plus 10,000 plus 1,500, and we get 13,300. And if I add up all of my debit accounts, those also will equal 13,300. Now I want to make sure you don't just assume that these are always going to equal when you prepare your assignments, because this is where you're going to find out if you have made any mistakes. So then you use the check your work feedback, and it gives you some feedback about the problem and trial balances. And this is kind of important here. It says if the debit and credit balances do not equal, look for one or more of the following errors. Was a debit entered in an account as a credit or vice versa? The balance of an account was computed incorrectly. The error was made in carrying the account balance to the trial balance. So did we transpose some numbers? And then the trial balance was summed incorrectly. So check your addition. So that is the preparation of the trial balance.